subscribers are James. For our new and old subscribers, you're all welcome to today's tutorial. So in today's tutorial, we're going to be learning 3 things. That's why you need to stay till the end of this video. So first, I'm going to be teaching you how to draft a pencil skirt. Then secondly, I'm going to be teaching you the slash and spread method to ensure volume and also use for some designs. Then third, I'm going to be teaching you how to cut a flounce to also use as a design for other things, right? But guys, do ensure to subscribe because I bring so many beautiful tutorials like this for you, which are highly educative, and you will not want to miss that. So you have to hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I have a new video up on my channel, and also like and share with your friends. First off, I've gone ahead to fold my pattern paper in half like so. That's because I'm drafting the front bodies first. Then the length of our skirt is 25 inches. It's a high-waisted skirt, guys. It's 25 inches, and then I do not want a waistband on this skirt, so I'm going to be making it 26 inches because I'm going to be hemming that side. So I'm making it 26 inches, right? So I'm going to be marking my 26 here. I'm coming here as well to mark 26 inches like so that I can pull that out. So I'm going to be ruling that like so. So this is our starting point for our skirt. So now I'm going to impute the distance from my waist to my hip, which is 9.5. Then to my knee, I'm going to be 19 inches, right? I'm going to do the same thing on this side, 9.5, and to my knee, 19 inches. So I'm just going to be squaring it out, ruling it out, sorry, like so. So this is our hip. I'm going to just label it so that you see properly. And this is our knee, right? And this is our waist, right? So now the first thing that I'm going to be doing is to be inserting my dart. So I'm going to find my bust span measurement. So you'll be wondering what you need your bust span for. You definitely need your bust span, right? So mine is 10 inches. So for those of you who are plus sizes and you hardly find patterns for plus sizes and you really want to sew your own dress, subscribing to my channel is a plus for you because I'm a plus size as well. So you get to get plus size patterns for free, and you can do your patterns to design your clothes. We know how hard it is to find out nice outfits in our size. So I just also marked 5 inches for my bust span here. Then I'm going to be connecting that for my that. Now let me tell you something about that. So your dart should not extend to your hip side except it's going to be a style line. If you want a regular dart, let it not extend to your hip point, right? So your dart can be anywhere from 2 inches above your hip line. Your dart could come down to this point, but let it not reach your hip point. That's the thing. So I'm taking 1 inch of that, half inch on both sides of my line, like so. Then I'm going to connect it to this point, like this, connecting it here as well, right? Now we are going to insert our waist measurement. So the waist that I'm working with is 40. I'm marking my 40 here. Now don't forget that darts are depth, so whenever you take a dart you must pay it back. So our dart here is 1 inch, so I'm bringing back that 1 inch for that here. Then I'm not going to be adding seam allowance yet until I'm done with all my pattern. Then I'll be adding my seam allowances. So the hip I'm working with is 48 inches, right? So I'm doing 48 divided by 2 by 4 because I'm working on 1/4 of my body. Likewise, the waist is divided by 4 because I'm drafting on 1/4 of my body for now. Then for my knee, whatever I have on my waist is what I'm going to use. That's including the dart, is what I'm going to use on my knee, right? But if you're not too curvy, you shouldn't do that, right? You can as well measure that and try to work in your measurements to see. So I'm going to be connecting that using my curve. So just mind the sides that I'm using on my curve, right? Just going to curve this as well. Then for the remaining side, it's going to come down a little penciled out. I'm going to pencil it out more, right? So this is what we have at the moment. So now I'm going to come over to my waist side because I want my skirt to be nice and snug on my waist. I'm coming up by ½ inch. So I'm going to just connect that ½ inch like so. Then I'm coming down by on my center front. I'm coming down ½ inch as well. You could do 1 inch if it's a low-waisted skirt, right? But I'm doing 1 inch, ½ inch because it's a high-waisted skirt. So I'm just going to connect using a curve. I'm connecting this side. So this becomes my new waistline. So now I'm going to double check if I still have 10 inches for my waist, right? Sorry, it's going to be a total of 11 because of the that. So I have 11.1. So I'm going to take out that 0.1 that I have. Then I connect it back to the body of the skirt like so, right? So this becomes my new waistline, right? So this is it about our skirt. So what we want to do now is I'm going to bring my pins. I want to transfer all my lines to the back of my pattern so that I can draft the other side because of what we need now. So I'm just going to put a pin across every point so that I can draft the entire body of the skirt. Just pinned that side down. You might not see the pin, but I'm going to be tracing those points out, right? So when you see on this side, this is our waistline, right? I just want to mark it like so. So I'm just using the light that is illuminating for me to see my lines. And now I'm going to be taking out my pins, making this my dart point here. So guys, I'm going to insert my dart back on this side, tracing off my dart lines. So I'm going to turn it back over here and cut. So for the back, I'm just going to bring my front pattern and match like so that I can make my I'll just mark my points. Okay, I'm going to be marking my points like so. Right, and I'm as well going to be marking my dart legs. So I'm moving my front pattern aside, and I'm going to be connecting my lines. Mind you, I just added 1 inch for zip allowance at the back, you can see. So for the back side, I don't need to fold it. I'm just going to be making a straight pattern, right? So since the back does not have any design, so there will be no need to cut it folded. So I'll just fold my fabric whenever I need to use my pattern. So for the back, I'm going to add my back butt rise, right? I'm just coming up by 1 inch like so on the center back. Then I'm going to be connecting it to where my front started, right? Like so. Then I'm going to draw out my dart legs. Sorry, I did not mark this point on the pattern. Just going ahead to draw that straight line like so. So this is our back pattern. So the back is slightly higher than the front panel, right? So for the back, I'm going to be doing some modifications, which is first I'm going to measure this butt rise to see if I have 11 inches. I have that. So you know the human body is not straight. There's this dip around your spinal cord area at the back of your blouse. So I'm going to go in from here. I'm going in by half of an 0.6 inches. You can do half depending on how curvy you are. So I'm coming to, this is my hip line, right? So I'm coming to my knee point as well. Then I'm going in 0.6 as well, and then to the hem side 0.6 as well. So I'm going to connect that knee point to give this amendment that I'm doing is going to allow your, it's going to give room for your butt, right, to sit in properly. So I'm just going to use my curve to connect that like so to the, from the knee points to the bum area, and then I'm connecting this side as well. Once you have your pattern master, you see that everything is just falling in place when you're using it. You can see this is what we have. So from here, I'm going to make my 1-inch zip allowance. I'm just going to go ahead and mark the 1-inch zip allowance, right? I'll also use my French or my pattern master to make that curve. Then I'll come over here, mark my 1-inch, and I would also make my curve. This 1-inch is going to be for my zip allowance, right? So this is what we have on the back side. I do hope you understand. If you don't, you can drop your questions. I'll be available to answer. Just going to cut out the back. So we just altered the butt rise, and we also altered the zip side to give a better fit. You know how skirts will just be nice and snug on the back. You'll be wondering what happened. That's exactly what happened there. So now if you look at the design of this skirt that we're about to draft, that we're drafting, you see that there's some sort of like a pleat or fold going on the, like from the side towards one side of the dart. So that's what we want to do now. So we are going to open our pattern, right? We are opening the pattern like so. So what I'm going to do now is to extend this dart leg. Now, depending on the side you want to put your flounce, right? That's where you need to do this. So I'm going to extend this. Bear in mind that we've not added any seam allowances. So I'm going to be extending like so. And then remember, I want a nice slit in front. I don't want a slit at the back. I want the slit in front. So I'm just going to take around 0.6 inches on this side. That's the biggest side. Then you measure the length of your slit, how long you want it to be. So let's do 7 inches. Now remember, we have 1 inch of hemming around here. So we are going to do 7 inches like so. Then we'll just connect it to that 0.6 like so. So it's just like creating a dart. Now this is it for this side. We are going to cut off the dart on this side, but for this side we no longer need this dart because we are going to be slashing and spreading. So this dart is going to be ineffective here. So we are going to measure this dart. Either you close it or you measure it. We have 1 inch of that, right? So on the side here, I'm going to take out. So because of this curve that I made, the dart is no longer 1 inch, it's 0.8. So I'm going to take out that 0.8 on the side, this side. So I'll just connect it. So I'm taking out that dart allowance. That's simply what I'm doing. Right? So I'm just going to be cutting that out on the side. So that's just like we took out that dart. So this dart ceases to exist. It's no longer in existence, right? So on this side, we're going to This side will just make this mark obvious so that we'll know where our slit is. So I'm going to cut like so. Cutting out the dart. So I'm going to just make my grain line so that I know the direction where my pattern is facing. So I don't have a side. This is my side seam and there are no seam allowance. I'm eventually going to need a seam allowance on this side and this side as well. So I'm cutting this side off also. And then I'm cutting out the dart as well. So I'm going to be keeping this side aside. And I'll be making marks, right? Now I'm going to measure here. I'm going to be measuring 3 inches away from the waistband. Then I'll be making like 5 lines, which will be around I'm going to be marking 3 centimeter, 3 centimeter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me just do one more, 3 centimeter, right? Then I'll do the same thing here, 3 inches away from here. Then I'll mark 3 centimeter, 3, 3, 3, 3, and then 3. And I'll be connecting those lines. This is to ensure that I slash so this is it, right? So now I'm going to just going to come back and sort of trace off this side. I'm going to trace off where I'm going to be using as my facing, because you remember I told you I don't want I do not want my waistband. I don't want a waistband on my skirt. So I'm going to be tracing off the facing. Right? I'm just tracing this off. So I'll label it facing. Then I'm going to make a green line, right? This side is the side seam, and then the mid seam. So I'm just going to cut off my facing. Keeping this aside, I'm going to bring this paper properly. So this is my side seam, right? I want my folds towards the side seam. So I'm just going to be slashing these points. So I'm just going ahead to slash those lines. I'm not slashing through. I'm just leaving a little bit to hold the paper together, and I'm spreading by 3 centimeter in between each slashes. And I'm just going ahead to slash that and add half an inch seam allowance on that side that I slashed before cutting out my paper. And this is what I have. So these are all my panels, the front, the slashed part, the other side of the front, my facings, and the back side. So the length of the place where I'm going to be adding the flounce, I went ahead to measure that side and I found the radius, right? So I'm just going to cut it just like you cut your flay. I have a video on flays. I'm going to be linking it up. Do ensure to watch that if you don't know how to do that. Then after doing the radius, I'm just going ahead to mark the length of my flounce.